2 Corinthians chapter 11. Paul and false apostles. In 2 Corinthians 11, the Apostle Paul addresses the Corinthian church with concerns about false apostles who have infiltrated their church. Paul fears that their minds might be corrupted just as Eve was deceived by the serpent, leading them away from the simplicity found in Christ. Exegesis by sections and verses. Verses 1 to 4. Paul's jealousy for the Corinthians' spiritual health. In these verses, Paul expresses his concern for the Corinthian church's spiritual health. He likens his role to that of a betrothed guardian, seeking to present them as a pure virgin to Christ. He fears that just as Eve was deceived by the serpent's craftiness, the Corinthians' minds might be corrupted and led away from the simplicity that is found in Christ. Paul warns them against accepting a different gospel or a distorted version of Jesus. Verses 5 to 15. Paul and false apostles. Paul asserts his equality with the most eminent apostles, and emphasizes his knowledge, despite his lack of eloquence in speech. He reminds the Corinthians that he did not charge them money for preaching the gospel, even though sometimes he supported himself through offerings from other churches. He highlights the contrast between his own humility and the boastfulness of the false apostles. These individuals, though appearing as ministers of Christ, are actually deceitful workers who align themselves with Satan's deceitful nature and tactics. Just as Satan disguises himself as an angel of light, these false apostles transform themselves into angels of light. But their true intentions will be revealed through their actions. Verses 16 to 21. Paul's reluctant boasting. Paul engages in what he calls foolish boasting as he defends his apostolic authority. He acknowledges that many boast according to worldly standards, and he reluctantly boasts of himself. He rebukes the Corinthians for tolerating mistreatment and oppression from these false apostles. He contrasts their weaknesses with his boldness, and he then acknowledges that he too is capable of boasting. Verses 22 to 33. Paul's suffering for Christ. Paul defends his apostolic authority further by comparing his experiences with those of the false apostles. He recounts his Jewish heritage and his extensive labors, which include imprisonments, beatings, hunger, sleepless nights, and even shipwrecks. Despite facing numerous perils, he has also endured internal struggles, fatigue, hunger, and concern for the believers. Paul's weaknesses and hardships become the grounds for his boasting, as he attributes his strength and endurance to the power of Christ. Overall summary. In this chapter, Paul addresses the Corinthian church's vulnerability to false apostles who preach a twisted version of the gospel, and also distorted beliefs about Jesus. He emphasizes his genuine concern for their spiritual health, and contrasts his humility and sacrifices with the deceitful nature of these impostors. Paul's foolish boasting defends his apostolic authority, showcasing his personal experiences of suffering and persecution for the sake of Christ. Ultimately, Paul's hardships become a source of strength, demonstrating his dedication to the true gospel and his reliance on the power of God.